Cavett Show. Tonight, Dick's guests are Don Rickles. Ladies and gentlemen, Dick Cavett.
That's very nice. It's bad luck to stop applauding on the 13th, but if you want to, go ahead. Maybe you can do it through the whole... I got Don Rickles backstage, so I've got to keep moving. The guests are anxious that I get him out here. First time I ever saw the Alpo dog in tears backstage. Frightening. When great humorists and comedians gather late at night over coffee and cheesecake to pay tribute to those among them who have scaled the heights and brought the art of public performing to its zenith, one name, I suppose, stands out above all others. And it's a talent so unique and so special and so brilliant that in the pantheon of the world's great comics, this man's name will surely be written among the greatest. The incomparable Dan Rickles. I'm so sorry about that. It's Don, not Dan.
No matter. No one sees this anyways. I just want to say I enjoyed Miss Sills. You were tremendous.
Thank you.
Well, that's it for me. Good theater.
Wonderful timing, yes.
Oh, that's great. I've worked at ABC. I understand that they plan to put a wall around this whole place and make it a studio. I've been with ABC, and I know. I spoke to Elton Rule about you, too.
Oh, uh-huh?
You're going to love it on the island. It's good to see you, though, Dick.
Well, it's good to see you. I'm sorry to hear you were ill. I heard that you had a little laryngitis.
Well, yes. I'm working in the Copacabana, which is one of the last of the saloons, and when the cigar messages go up, you just sit there and go, ah! Got all the supper club guys in the front going, hey, it's funny.
You get enough of those.
Yeah, and you keep moving with those kind of guys, you know.
I don't know, laryngitis is something I don't picture you having. I mean,
well, I really don't care what you picture. Dick.
Oh, I
mean, when did you have your own clinic?
No, but I mean the nerve of a disease to attack your famous throat.
Well, when you work on the Copacabana, it's a great, great saloon, and I love being in New York, and you really got to go all out. The people are great. Mr. Jules Podell talks like me, and he hasn't even got laryngitis.
Yes.
He said to me last night, he's a great man. He's some 70-odd years young, you know, and he's full of life and spirit. And he said last night, he said, if you work at a car club, you're calling people tied with an enemy of paper. And I said, fine. You tell them you're wrong, you're on a hook in the kitchen.
Sure.
The two Chinese cook going, oh, look at the guy.
I really love to watch you work. But then I've always liked Jackie Leonard, so...
how can you hit a short guy? Jackie Leonard's a great... I always get ribbed about that. You know that.
He always ribs
But
you.
we are completely different. Jack is doing very well. He's in Las Vegas with his family, and we always rib each other about comparing. As you do in opera, I'm sure people compare you. And as long as you're successful and doing well, it's great. It's when you're struggling and they try to wipe you out, then it's rough, you know.
Yeah.
We were saying that before you came on, how hard it must have been at the very beginning before people knew who you were and what kind of comic you were.
Yeah, well,
you know, to suddenly walk into a club and here's this guy insulting everybody.
Well, I was really before my time, Beverly, to be very honest, because today I do the things that are today, and I was doing that 20 years ago, and it's funny how people say, He says terrible things. He wipes people out, you know. And all I do is laugh at ourselves. And I think there's ways of some people saying, gee, he said some offbeat words or what have you. And I think it's in the eyes of the beholder in the sense that the best way I can describe what I do, my father, rest his soul, and you were very close to your mother, and I'm very close to my family, too. My dad, rest his soul, he was the kind of a man that put his arms around a woman. And when he did, it wasn't dirty. And there were other guys that give a woman a hug, and right away at the party, your wife's looking over at the husband going, Charlie, get Al out of here, you know. So it's the way you do something. Now, being on this show, like I tell Dick from the bottom of my heart, I never liked you.
So you can't be serious.
You're an annoying little guy.
Is that what it is?
That's right, type that hangs around the health club in the corner with the towel.
I asked you not to mention that. That's terrible. No, I know it's hard for you to be serious, but it is. I think people don't admit that deep down inside, if I may be serious for a moment, that you do something on the stage that all of us would like to do if we had no class.
Why did you all turn on me like that? The guy in the front here in the hockey puck sweater went crazy. The one derelict yelled at that.
My people.
We always make jokes. See, I'm always open to being attacked constantly because
Sure.
if you know the old story, if you dish it out, you have to be able to take it. But as far as being serious, I tell you, you have to take your work serious. We all become a certain character when we walk out on the stage. People say to me, what is it like at home to my wife? You know, and I have a lovely Jewish wife. In fact, she's a monk. She was supposed to come with me today, but she couldn't get off the bed. The jewelry was too heavy.
We'll delve into your private life a little more after this
fine.
station break. We'll be right back. You can tell the minute the light goes on.
Beverly and I were planning to leave.
That's wonderful. The minute the light hits your face, you blossom and bloom. And
That's great, Dick. Well, we have to. You know, you're not exactly the guy I'd pick to go to the New Year's Eve party with, you know? I always picture you at New Year's Eve alone in the corner with a spoon of ice cream going, oh, wow. Just don't light it up for me.
Very perceptive. Say, are you going to be doing a new television series or your old one again?
Well, I was on ABC, and that took a hike. I was on CBS, and a guy came over and went, I said, yes. He said, you're through?
Really classy way of letting you...
President Bob Wood is a good friend of mine. In fact, he started his car today, and he isn't around anymore. No, Bob Wood has been very good to me. CBS, I had a show on ABC, which was a complete catastrophe because working for ABC and Elton Rule and all the gentlemen are good friends of mine. The problem is they couldn't chip in to get any money for the show, and we were appearing in a forest. One guy with scotch tape and a lamp going, let's try it again, Charlie. No, you know that. You and I know ABC's a big network. They had a storm yesterday, and the whole set went out. There was one guy on the roof at the ABC building going, is the wind okay, Al? So, and CBS has a big organization. In other words, when you fail there, a buzzer rings in your room, and you go... So, I was around NBC yesterday, and the guy at the gate said, go away. But we're going to do another special on CBS, which I'm thrilled about, because we had a show on, as I say, on CBS, and unfortunately that didn't make it, because I have to be what I really am. And unfortunately, on the ABC adventure that we had with Pat McCormick, our mutual friend, we didn't have the right format. When we went on CBS, they wanted to try to make Don Rickles appear as something I'm really not, a charming, adorable man.
But you are a good actor.
Well, thank you.
And you managed to appear that once or twice during the series.
Thank you.
No, I'm trying to give you a compliment.
You're starting to get on my nerves, Dick.
Yeah, I'll back off now.
So we have decided to do what we do best, and that is to laugh at people, make fun of life, and bring this guy forward in this particular special that we're going to do for CBS. I think the real Rickles will come out.
Oh, that's good.
Right now, talking to you is kind of the regular Rickles, which would only help me win a trip to Hawaii with the wife. You know, I mean, coming out being charming and nice, you only get on the Monty Hall show and win a cookie. You know, so I have to be what I really am.
Yeah.
This whole front row here, I am what I am, the man on the end. Take a look at that man. Oh. I don't know who you are, but you're a bad-looking man. Look at that. The lady went, he knows you. No, I'm kidding. Oh,
no one ever... Just don't look down there. No one has ever really seriously invited you out into the alley afterwards, have they, at a club?
You did, but it was ridiculous. We danced for about an hour.
No, I mean, a guy with no sense of humor.
Many years ago, I worked in smart supper clubs in Jersey when I walked out and called somebody a dummy, and the boss went, oh, what? And all of a sudden, I was in the alley, and my tie was over here. No, not really. I always have Blue Cross and a fast cab.
Those are your two secrets.
So people pretty much knew I was joking. Those that didn't asked me to leave. You know, I worked up in Montreal once, and I left with a hockey puck in my mouth. It was a fast engagement.
Yeah.
But I was pretty lucky. I mean, I've had people that have been offended, and I've had people that love me. But I'll tell you, in anything you do, I'm sure it's that way in opera. If you just go the ordinary line and just have the general approach, you'll be the average guy. If you believe in what you do and you cause excitement, you're going to get people that say, I love him or I can't stand him, and so be it.
There's one thing, though, I really do wonder, and that is, do you actually think before you speak most of the time or half the time? Do you actually hear what you've said as you say it, or do you...
Well, no. I think in a nightclub, on television, I think on a talk show such as this, you monitor yourself instinctively, you know, because you just don't have the complete freedom that you really want. In a nightclub, I go with a performance, but whatever's in front of me that night is what inspires me.
But it's so fast that there's not an instant of thought in there.
Yes,
I mean,
it
just
is.
comes right out. It's
Yes,
really...
it's very good, Dick. So fit. Anybody got a lolly for Dick? It's so fast. You want to stay up late tonight, Dick? Put on your pajamas and have hot cocoa? I talk to him. I feel like I want to go to summer camp and sit in a pail.
I'll try to change moods.
It's kind of fast and exciting, yeah, Dick. I remember your act, you know, had that great beat, you know. You were like Jimmy Cook. Yeah, of course, a Ruban Blue type. You know, what they call the shishi humor, you know. While the violin is playing, you can look up at him, drink, have dinner, leave, and he doesn't even know about it.
I never played the Ruban Blue.
Well, but you're that type of performer, the low key, as we say in the
Is that what we call it?
Well, you know that. You know,
Yeah.
You were a writer. You know, you've given a shot at everything. And after this, it's, you know, where to, sir? Anyway,
Oh, we have to stop and wind up again. We'll be right back.
Okay.
Stay where you are. How old were you when you first started to notice girls?
oh, I think as I fell on the hospital table.
Tend to go overboard in that area as a young man, did you?
That's a question we all, you know, the last, what is it called? The last motion picture show? What was the name of that movie that won the Academy? Dick, are these toughies? What's the name of that motion
The Last
picture?
Picture Show.
The Last Picture Show,
Last
good.
Picture Show,
Later on,
yes.
we're going to, when you hear the bell, go to geography.
Oh, no, there was another movie.
I'm
with a
asking
similar
him a
title.
question. He went, no, you're not supposed to do that. That's not on the list.
No, wait, there are two.
It says here,
Get out of
dumb
there.
comedian doesn't ask midget questions.
No, there are two movies with a similar title. There's
Well,
one called The Last
that reminded
Movie.
me of that young way of life. I don't know, as far as girls. I've always, I was, as all guys that are supposedly aggressive or loud, which I'm, well, hey, okay, I am, but I got married very, very late in life. I was 38 years old and searching desperately. And my wife was, well, I don't want to give her age away. She could, you know, fall over or something. But she, I met her as a secretary, and I said she was my picture agent secretary, and I was down to nobody. I was going to dances, you know, with women that had shoulder holsters, you know. I was hanging around with girls that like to do a lot of dipping, you know.
Way back then, was it?
You know, Benny Goodman was playing the tango.
All the old dances.
So I used to go and I met my wife, and I'll never forget it. And she's a very, as you can imagine, you always marry opposites attract, they say, you know. And I came up to my picture agent and I said, Miss, I'd like to see my picture agent. She said, what is that's the way she talks, my wife. What is your business, what is it regarding? I said, it's regarding I want to buy meat. What is it regarding? I want a job. And she said, crudeness isn't going to let you in. And I married her now. We just sit around the house, and I go, why? She gave me 2 wonderful children. They're wonderful kids. One
gave them to you?
Oh, yeah. Well, I helped out. I put on the robe and circled her. Anyway,
circle. Never mind.
And then it was over one day, and she went, "What a miracle worker!" See, that's what I mean about being restricted on television.
That's
You should
true.
be able someday to speak right out and say it like it is.
Could have said what you really meant. There,
Right.
If you'd really been
Right,
been
and then
free.
the show would be a hit instead of this la-di-da stuff. We'd have the whole world listening instead of 4 guys in Elko.
But it is television. What age were you when you had your first homosexual experience?
Hey, it's there. It's there.
I'm sorry. I'm
I
sorry,
was
Donna.
11, and he was a tall cowboy from Dallas. It started out, he came in the room and went, "You started out, I hope you have an ending for this."
Sometimes, well, you tempted me. The most awful things will pop into my
Oh,
head.
that's
and
true.
You,
Wouldn't
you
it be
prided
great if
me
you
a little
really
bit.
could talk? I don't mean in a crude way, in a vulgar way. I mean, if you really could talk about, you know, are you married, Beverly?
Yes.
Oh, good. Then you understand all of
I
this.
certainly do.
I thought being with Mother away so much, we never got a chance to.
I gave up sucking my thumb a long time ago.
Okay, Beverly. Hey, this could be a long night.
Yes. Wouldn't it be wonderful if he showed up in your audience some night at the opera? That's all you would need in the middle of.
I
your cheers.
admire opera stars. Jan Pierce is my only claim to fame. He sang at my cousin's bar mitzvah. You know that. You would know about that. That's your crowd doesn't have that. You just let the girls put on white dresses and hop around the church for an hour. We make a whole ceremony and come up with envelopes with a lot of gifts and a lot of cake and kichel and wine. And Jan Pierce was there singing.
Kiefel?
Kichel. It's a cookie. Don't worry about it.
All right.
When we take over the world and you're a prisoner, you'll eat plenty of it. The black man up there when he ain't gonna take over the world. No. That's only a joke.
No, I know what Kiefel.
Well, there he is, folks. The real dumbbell. It's the host. Why don't you get in touch with Paul Winchell and work on his lap?
I'm sorry. My muscles are sore from laughing.
Your muscles are sore. Well, too bad. But we take a hot bath and watch your duck fry. Beverly and I talked very nicely. We came out. It started out so great, and then you started in with homosexuals and what have you. You upset Beverly and ruined my whole day. And I'm going to grab you by the legs and make a wish.
I'm sorry. I think I've herniated my diaphragm or something.
Well, use an ointment, it'll go away.
I know. We must try to taper down here a little bit.
Must. Earl Wilson's coming out, and you know the pace he sets. He's in the back playing with the pages of his book, waiting for the wind to come up.
We'll lower the tempo a little bit.
Okay, fine. Whatever you say, Dickie.
You're going to do some theater in the round things. Is that actually theater in the round suggests plays? Are you going to do your
have you ever done in the round?
Yes.
I think it's fantastic. Seriously, Dick. Have you ever done that?
No, I've never appeared in the round.
Do you ever get out of the house at all? You come right from here back to your house, and I even read articles about him with his wife. You married Lamont Cranston. Nobody sees his wife. I understand she sits in a house and opens up the drapes and goes,
true, but it's a nice
Oh,
man.
Beverly knows your wife.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
good. Well, when would we get to meet her? I mean, it's a whole mystery. We never see. In fact, nobody ever sees you. He hangs around in front of the Plaza Hotel at night, saying to the policeman, "Anything happening?" But we're going to do in the round. We're going to be at San Carlos, as a matter of fact, in San Francisco, starting. What's the date? I forgot. Anyway, and then we're going to be in Chicago May 1st.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
We're going to do a show. Peggy Lee and I'm just thrilled about that, is going to be with me in Westbury, Long Island here for 2 weeks. And then we're going to be in Washington for a week. And previous to that, Vic Damone and I will be in San Carlos and then in Chicago, 2 weeks in Chicago and 1 week in San Francisco. And I just love the feeling of the round because it's like a real house party and it's a hard ticket. And people come, like in opera, to see you. In saloons, they do come to see you, but there's waiters and there's the busboy saying, you want some water?
Right in the punchline.
Right. You're saying good evening, and there's a guy in the front going, that do water, and I give you some of the napkin. They can't know you And one guy's in the hall, the cook, going, I got a cook, and he's making all that money. So it's a long night, you know.
But you are going to appear in the round. I'm glad to
Yes,
hear that. I'd love to see. It's great to see work. I saw you at the Copa one night, and it was just side-splitting, I must say.
Once a year, the Copacabana, and I hope saloon, and I call it saloon, like the Copacabana, stays forever. I hope Mr. Podell goes on forever, really, because that's the last of the so-called nightclub. I mean, the Americana, Caterina Valente, by the way, is a marvelous star, Diana Ross at the Waldorf, but that's more of a sort of a she kind of an atmosphere. The nightclub's what I call, per se, is the Copacabana.
Are enough of them making money to...
Pardon me?
Are enough of them making money to survive? Is it?
Well, I don't think there's enough seasoned performers around, Dick. I think, I don't know how Beverly feels about it, but it's very difficult to throw a new talent into the Copacabana. I mean, that's a tough, hard nightclub audience, and they want to laugh, and you better be...
Why is there not a cultivation of more nightclub talent the way there used to be? There was a time where there were dozens and dozens of nightclubs, even here right in New York.
I think it got to be such big business. You know, at one time it was more of a... We could work in the mountains, you know, the old expression.
Right.
Today it's the Concord or Philly Green Wall, and it's a great deal of money. And they haven't got time to let the guests, you know, pay a great deal of money when they go there, and it's no longer the atmosphere of, you bring out a guy for $50 and let him be funny and do impersonations. I think the whole economy has changed.
I used to go up to do the opera nights at those places.
Right, and
$50.
the team that travels all around the country, they're very good.
I know
Well,
who
Catherine
you are.
Grayson and Howard Keel are now appearing in Las Vegas, which is nice to see that kind of, your kind of field in Las Vegas. I wish you would come to Las Vegas.
Oh, I don't have that kind of talent.
Oh, please
No, I
don't.
really don't. I mean,
But
to
you
be...
pack them in at Vegas.
Well, perhaps for a night, but the sound of a voice like mine, first of all, won't take a microphone, because then the noise really, and I don't mean this immodestly or modestly, I mean the noise becomes oppressive. There's got to be a let-up, and with a high-pitched voice, constantly singing into a microphone, and the voice is too big for the microphone anyhow, it would be very irritating. I couldn't listen to a soprano just screech away all night. It would not be fun.
Well, if you ever do, please come to the Riviera, because that's our home, and I'm sure that Harvey Silbert and Eddie Torres, they would love to have you.
Well, I'll
here.
come visit when you're there. I'll
Please
let my
do.
husband take you.
And your husband will be there, and my wife will be there. We'll work something
We'll
out.
do something.
Leave a message. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Oh, Don.
Yeah.
Oh, Don.
Yeah.
Don, it's May 1st. You're in San Francisco.
Right, thank you. And May 9th in
In
Chicago.
Chicago. We didn't want people showing up in the wrong city. You're in Chicago May 9th. I just wanted you to know that. My next guest somehow got transplanted from the Midwest into the heart of show business, where he's been for a long time. He writes a column called It Happened Last Night, which appears all over the country, over 100-some papers, I don't know how many. And his book, The Show Business Nobody Knows, is selling like hotcakes. Will you welcome, please, Mr. Earl Wilson? You seem to be avoiding Rickles on your entrance there.
Trying to, if I could. But I can't. I see him every night at Copacabana. And then he introduces me like I'm supposed to be over there to be introduced. Don't do it anymore. I'm not coming.
Okay, Earl. Whatever you say, Earl.
There are clubs now where performers sing, girls go to sing for guys that are around in towels just having come from a Turkish bath.
No?
Yes, indeed. You know about it, Don?
No, I didn't know about it, but I'm going to look into it. You know, Earl, if I may say so, the great part, living out in California now, the pulse of New York, because Earl is syndicated, which is very true. We only know the show business talk and what have you from Earl's column. I mean, Ed Sullivan, our mutual friend, writes here in town, and which is great. But I mean, Earl goes around. So in the Los Angeles Herald-Examiner, we read Earl religiously because we would know what was happening. Which I think Earl is the last of the Broadway fellas, so to speak, and Sullivan to give out information.
Don't you find that late night talk shows keep you in touch with New York too pretty well? What's going on?
No, I watch the movies mostly.
I'd like to ask, can I ask him a question about how does Sullivan react to all those things you say about Ed Sullivan passed away, but nobody notified him and things of that kind?
Well, like you, Earl, you know, he doesn't know he's there.
You only
Now,
work in
Ed
truth.
and him kid around. I always make a thing with Earl, you know, like you say hello, Earl, and you figure, you read all about these stories that they write in the paper, and then you meet men that are kind of reserved. They're both reserved. You see Earl is a very quiet guy, and so is Ed, and the two of them on New Year's Eve sit together, and they watch a lamp go, But, you know, but yet they're great writers, you know. That's about it for me, Dick. Maybe you can drop your pants and fire a rocket or something.
Don, you don't have to be perfect all the time here.
Oh, no, Dick, you take these little naps and Earl's glasses are fogging up. Beverly's sitting over here waiting for the gown to come off. It's getting hot in here.
We have a message. We'll be
Why?
back. I'll
Get
put a
off
stop
the
to
air.
this. Phyllis Kirk has always been considered one of the brightest and most effervescent ladies in television. She has in show business and all. She has a fondly remembered talk show that was on daytime television. You remember her from the series The Thin Man, of course, and no matter how many films she's in, I always think of her fondly in The House of Wax. Will you welcome, please, the lovely Phyllis Kirk. Have a chair.
Yeah, right.
Has your back gone out again?
My back has gone out again. You mean why do I have the cane?
I couldn't help noticing.
Yeah, you really. No, it's actually a prop, you see. Which, I mean, it was something that Don said before about, you know, people doing the same thing over and over again, so I just decided to come.
You have a new image.
I came on with this cane because I knew Don was going to be on the show, and I thought it would afford him an opportunity for several crippled jokes, right?
Oh, I see, yes. Oh, you do that just to help your fellow performer out.
No.
That's how you pick your friends, but whether or not they like
Whether or not they like
Strangelove?
Dr. Strangelove. I may send the ones that don't like Dr. Strangelove to Don Rickles, right, and let him take care of it.
Speaking of Strangelove, Don and you worked together once on a show. Wasn't he on one of the Thin Men? What was it?
Well,
The episode of the Thin Men?
it's true. It's true.
How'd you know that?
I have a terrific memory.
Well-
You must have got... Did you tell him that?
No, of course I didn't tell him that. No, it was very funny. One night I was in Las Vegas with Warren, my husband, and we went to see Don Rickles, whom I would go 82 miles to see, as I would Miss Sill.
82 miles.
Yeah, at least 82. I mean, on foot, with my cane.
Okay.
Right, okay.
What are you, a highway patrolman? Never mind.
And when we got to the show, somebody had told Don that I was in the audience, and Don stood up and did this whole big shtick about a marvelous lady who had been terribly kind to him as a fledgling actor. And I sat there like a dummy. I didn't know what he was talking about. And the next thing I knew, he said, Phyllis Kirk, and he said, I had a job working as a guest actor on The Thin Man, you know, and then made me stand up. So I am the mother of his acting career, right?
Well, what she didn't tell you was that, which is a long, involved story, I played the part of Eddie, a cab driver. It was my first show, and I arrived at MGM in a rented 1938 convertible Chevy and drove right into the wall. Then I went into the studio, and the dog asked her, who she said, Phyllis at that time said, and Peter Lawford at that time was running around following Frank Sinatra's voice or something. And sat in the room with his album under his arm. Anyway, so we had Phyllis on the show, and they all told me, gee, that was a big hit show. And they said, you know, get to know Phyllis and Peter. They'll make it easy for you, and you better be nice and don't kid around. And I was a wreck. I had trouble with Haya. And they brought out Astor, how to do this scene with the dog. And this is the truth. Am I lying? And the dog was muzzled, and a trainer came out with rubber gloves and a helmet and boots. And they said, the dog won't hurt you. And Phyllis said, he's just an adorable little fox terrier. And the thing was going... And the dog worked on commands with a ball, a little squeezer ball. I'll never forget it. And I was supposedly knocked out when I came in the door by Peter Lawford accidentally, and I'm laying on the floor, and on command, the Astor was supposed to come over and lick me, and the trainer went teet-teet, and the dog came over and completely took off my sport jacket, half my pants, and I stood there and I went, oh, he's going to eat a Jew.
And that was your debut.
That was my day. And Peter Lawford said, get him a new jacket. I got to meet Frank in an hour.
Did the dog live?
Dick, you're dumb, Dick. You're really a dumbbell, Dick.
We'll
I
be
mean
back.
that.
I'm sorry. I was ahead earlier. Perfect place for Rickles. Imagine what he could do with a Jewish Roman Arab.
Tell me, what could you do with the Jewish Roman
Nothing,
Arab?
just run.
A lot of Jerusalem, though, has become very commercialized, and
Well, the funny thing in the old part of Jerusalem, it's exactly as it was 3,000 years ago, and to the eye, to the casual observer's eye, when you come in, it really does look exactly as all the paintings and photographs that you've ever seen of the old city. But the set dressers for this movie were running around frantically trying to hide little television antennas. I mean, in the middle of this 3,000-year-old section, there are television antennas and light bulbs and shutters and all kinds of things that were not
That's
there.
the solemnity.
It was in October.
we were there over Christmas, if you'll pardon the expression.
It's all right. Your name was taken for that remark. We call it Hanukkah. Beverly deserted us. No, it's the same thing, only we don't have a tree.
We were
Don
there.
isn't offended.
We were there on a holiday also, which is Simchat Torah.
Simchas Torah.
Simchat Torah.
Right.
Oh, I
Thank
feel
you very
left
much.
out.
Well, you can join up if you go for the operation.
That sort of joke is based on an erroneous assumption. We'll be back after this message. Thanks, Don Rickles, Beverly Sills, Phyllis Kirk, Earl Wilson. This is really a fun show for me to do. Tomorrow night, Cesar Romero, Louise Last of the Preservation Hall Jazz Band up from New Orleans, Nicholas Kittrey, who wrote a book about being different, and some famous Charlie Chaplin film. Did I make it? Good night.
Safe.
Later.